Hello, hello, friends. Grace here from Chalk Couture with the Comfy Nest, and getting ready to do this lovely project that I showed you guys last week. I had a discounted bundle in the VIP customer lounge, and some folks bought it straight from my Chalk site. So either way, if you can get your hands on this board and base, I'm going to show you the features of it. This is a really fun project to do that you can change out anytime you want to. So we'll talk all about that, but welcome. Hello. I'm going to grab the feed actually on another iPad here. Let me do that so that I can make sure this is working. If you come in, say hello. Oh, there's Debbie. Text BFF in the house. Hey, Debbie. Are you creating alongside me today? Or are you watching so that you can do yours later? Because Debbie's one of the folks who bought a kit. So she's going to be ready to go when it's time. So let me know that, Debbie. Anybody else that comes on, say hello. Let me know that you're here. Let's see now. How can I grab this feed? Hold on. Chalk Couture with the Comfy Nest is the page that I should be live on. Yes, there I am. It's working. Yay. Okay, so now, why can I see no comments? There they are. There they are. Hello, Miss Sharon. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so actually, the first thing we're going to do is take this apart, and I already started. I had that little wreath hanging in the front, and we're going to put it all together. And I had hot glued it to the back of my board. And what I do, like if you hot glue something on, all I did to get it off was to use my little heat gun here. And on a high setting, it took about 3 seconds on the highest setting on my heat gun to reheat that glue up enough so I could pull the jute rope out. And then you're ready to start again. You're ready to redesign. I wanted to show you how to erase this, just in case you're new to Chalk Couture. That way you can see what I mean by erasable and how you can interchange your home decor whenever you're ready. Awesome, Debbie. That sounds like a good plan. You're watching from work. Well, I'm so glad you're here. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Don. Welcome, ladies. Okay, so this board, chunky, distressed. I love it. I've had this for years. Mine is dinged up. It's got some paint chipped off of it, but I'm totally good with it because I love the distress. It comes distressed already. Around the board, you can see some distress marks. But this is an interchangeable board, so you can take it out of the base and you can position it either horizontally or vertically, so I love this board for that reason. It comes with a little screw that you screw on the back to tighten. I've never used it. I always just stick it in there and it stays in just fine. So anyway, I'm going to remove the base so that we can work with the board. And I want to first show you how to erase it because it's so simple and easy. And just in case there are those folks out there who haven't used this stuff yet, this Chalk Couture product line, just so you know exactly what to do. So I'm going to grab this little tool. It's called a scraper. It's hard plastic and it will help me scrape my paste off. Okay, so I'm going to grab that. I'm going to grab, this is just a chunk of a shop towel. Okay, that's going to help me get that paste off. So the first thing you do, when you put your design on, it's wet, but then it's going to dry to the touch. Okay, it's dry. It's not going anywhere unless you wet it or unless you scrape it off. It will just stay on there. So it is a chalk product. It's water-based, but once it dries, you can't budge it. This is a chalkboard, though, that was designed to work specifically with the chalk paste, the erasable chalk paste. So to get it off, what we need to do is just wet it with regular water. I'm going to let that set for a minute, and then I'm going to use my scraper to scrape it off. What I don't have handy, where I know I have them. Hang tight. I'm going to grab, if I can find one. Oh, I misplaced it. I know I did. My board eraser. Good gravy, girls. This new desk. Where is my board eraser? Does anybody know where I put it? I always say, like, I need a craft room concierge. This person's job would to help keep me straight, help me find what I'm looking for. I know I have it. Hold on, girls. Well, we might just have to go on. I'm going to go one more place. I got my ribbon. I got my jute rope. I'm just missing My stinking board eraser. It's okay. Life will go on. The board eraser will help you clean your board really well. Once you get all this paste off, it helps to get the residual stuff off. Once you get that on there, the water, all we need to do is to scrape the bulk of this off. Oh, here comes my son. Maybe I could have him go get it for me. I know I have one in my laundry room because that's where I always clean my stuff. Hey, Gan man. Good morning, kiddo. You got a lot of sleep. How much do you think you got? 11 and a half. That's crazy, kid. Hey, will you do me a huge favor right now? Could you go into the laundry room, and at the sink there's a round white sponge. Will you bring it to me, please? He's going to bring it, guys. What a good kid. He got 11 and a half hours of sleep, which you needed. So you see how that got the bulk of that paste? See it? It's in here now. This is going to help you salvage your board erasers because you're going to get the bulk of it off with the scraper. Scrape it off. It doesn't damage your board at all. You put it in like a rag, right? We're going to throw this in the garbage. I'm going to grab another blue shop towel. We're going to spray this again because you can see there's a little bit of residual paste there. We're going to spray it again. We're going to grab that board eraser that Hannon's getting me. You guys, I know there's one in this craft room somewhere. Is anybody else like me? Anybody else can't find a stinking thing when you need it? They are. Debbie, you're right. She said those stencils are just adorable, aren't they? And they're different, than a traditional. Oh, this is already cut. They're different than a traditional stencil on the fact that they're a silk screen. Oh, thank you, Gannon. You're the best, kiddo. I know it. He said, I know it. Look what he got me. He got me this, which is a board eraser. So now you take your board eraser, you get 2 in a pack. They're about, I think they're like $2 or $3. And you use that to like squeegee off. It's kind of like a magic eraser. It's going to squeegee off the rest of that paste. And you just rinse them. I rinse them and I squeeze them out and then I let them dry and they're ready to be used again. So now I can just dry it off with my rag. Finally found you, Lori says. It's just water, Lori. We're just using water to spray and clean. And I'll show you on the face cam real quick here. I'll hold it up. See? We're nice and clean now. Once this dries, all of those image, anything that you see that looks like an image from the last stencil disappears. So it's completely clean and ready to go again. This whole system is brilliant. And because we have these gorgeous designs, many to pick from. So look, you guys, I got some new ones in. I have some old ones, older ones sitting here. But there are many. I have this one in my half bath. Get naked. Just kidding. It's a half bath. That would be weird. Adorable. How beautiful it is to see a life lived in gratitude. There are just so many different designs that we can use on this. This is a size A. This is our smallest size board. And the sizes, so they go size A, B, C, D, and E. The sizes coordinate, the size of the boards coordinate with the size of the transfer designs. So then it makes it super easy to shop and super easy to find what coordinates together and works together. We're going to use this welcome sign. And you can see this little cut line here. They've given you a cut line where you can cut this in half. So if you just want to use the welcome somewhere, you can. If you just want to use the farmhouse tile somewhere, you can. I used it all as one big thing. So that's what we're going to do on our project today. We're going to take it out of its packaging. It comes with a backing of its own. And there are 2 sides to the backing. One is matte and one is shiny. So when you're brand new using this set of supplies, the product line, I always suggest put a little marking on the back of your transfer because they're both white. And you want to make sure that when you're done using your transfer and you clean it, that you put it on the shiny side. I'm going to see how that's shiny. It's like a sticker backing. This one is matte. You do not want to put your transfer on the matte side. So this just makes it really obvious so that when you're putting it away, if you're in a rush, you don't mix up the two and you put it on the correct side, which is the shiny side. So I've already used this once. I cleaned it and you can see still pretty sticky, sticking to my hand. We can use it again. So you can get 12 to 15 uses out of these as long as you care for them well and you follow the instructions. You just clean them with water and your board eraser Use the same board eraser, water, and a soft lint-free rag to clean them. You can also use not baby wipes, but disinfectant wipes on them to keep them clean. Okay, so that's another way to make sure you get all the residual stuff off of the sticky, especially because they're sticky. They grab stuff like lint, so they're going to grab little bits of dry chalk paste and lint and all that jazz. Now, one more thing before we go in and do the actual pasting on here. My adhesive, you can see it's still very adhesive, but it's not brand new. When they're brand new, they're incredibly sticky. So we use a fuzzing cloth. You can use your shirt, my dress, you could use your jeans. We have a fuzzing cloth that you can use to clean with. It has a nappy side and a microfiber side. And I use the microfiber side to fuzz my transfer, particularly when they're brand new. You'll get a feel for how sticky they are. You fuzz it. So what that means is putting fuzz on the back of your transfer so that when you use it, it doesn't stick too strongly to your surface. You want it to come off nicely, but still stick well enough so that you don't get bleed through. And it's awesome. It's an awesome system because it gives you the best of both. You can use the fuzzing cloth, but you don't have to have it. You can use a clean towel. You can use a rag. When you get your transfer back on your board, wherever you're going to be using the transfer design, you want to just press down and make sure you don't have any bubbles or wrinkles, because that will help you avoid bleed through if you don't have any. So I just stick it on there right in the middle. And we're going to take our paste. Now, those of you who bought the kit from me, you got a pack of paste that looks like this. This is Bumblebee, but you got a pack of paste. And what I suggest is that you knead it, like with your hands, just move it around in there. It looks like a ketchup packet to me. You want to mix it up and move it around in there. And then when you open it, I suggest just cutting off the littlest bit off the top with your scissor, squeezing out what you need. You can squeeze it right onto this project because we're using all one color, so it makes it really easy. You can squeeze it right onto the project and then squeeze all the extra paste back down, because that's paste you can use later. Squeeze it down into the bottom. I fold it kind of like a chip bag. It's like a mini chip bag. I fold it until I get down to where the bulk of that paste is in there. And then I use like a little clip. You could tape it, I suppose too. I use a little clip to hold it in there, and that's going to keep it so that you can use it again. Will it last forever? Heck no. These are really supposed to be one-time use, but you get a lot more paste in those little packets than you probably could do 3 of these projects with what's in one of those little packets. So just roll it up and save it for later, because you can use it for something else. I'm going to be using my pot of paste. Okay. You can buy full pots of paste. Like white is it's just a basic color that you probably would want to have. If you're going to be using chalk couture a lot, you'd want to have a full pot of paste. But you may have a color like Bumblebee that it's the end of summer. I don't think I'll be using it in the fall. I just want a single pack of paste. You can now buy singles. You can now buy singles of paste. So before, they were only available to designers that we could give away or use in our bundles. And you could buy packs of like 6 or 10 or 12 of them. Now you can buy one individual single color, so that if you know you're just going to use it once, or you think you're just going to use it once, or you just want to try it out to see what it's like, you can just go buy that single pack, which I think is awesome. That's a great thing they just added with this new fall winter lineup of product. All right. Here's my full pot of paste, very well used. It's about half gone. It's 3 ounces. It will last you a long time. You will have, I got some dry paste on there. If you had your paste pack, you squeezed it right on here. I don't have the paste pack today. I'm using my pot. So I'm going to take my little mini squeegee and I'm going to grab some paste, and you can kind of smear it on here. And it's just pushing the paste through the transfer. That's all you want to do. So you want to get up here, get it spread out, and then just push it through. Oh, I have a bubble. I got a bubble right there, girls. I can see it. I always say, do as I say, don't do as I do. I can see I have a bubble. So see what I'm doing? I'm scraping it through, and you can see the difference. Here's where I smeared it on. I have not scraped it yet. That is way too much paste. You want to make sure that you scrape it so that you can see the design, because all this extra paste that's sitting here can go back in your pot to be used again. Don't leave it on top and then rinse it down the drain. Your hard-earned money went to buy that, and you can reuse it on a different design. So we're going to squeeze it through so that you can see that pretty design. I'm going to move it just so it's easier for my hand. Now I'm going to do the welcome, squeezing it through the silk screen onto the surface, transferring that design onto the surface. Now all this excess is going to go back in my pot so I can use it later. I'm going to put my little squeegee in a bucket of water to keep it wet. It'll be easier to clean later. And now we can pull up our design, and voila. Oh, you can see where my little bubble was. I'll show you. This is a great teachable moment. Here's my backing. I'm going to put the dirty one right on top here. And then I carry this to my laundry room and I rinse it out. And then I use a Clorox wipe or a disinfectant wipe on the back side to wipe it down. I also use this to scrub and get, the paste out of the transfer. And then I just leave it upside down to dry on a towel. And then when it's completely dry, I put it back on its backing. Really easy, really simple, really easy to use. Okay, here's where my bubble was, right there. See right there? Can you see that? That little blip? That's what happens when you have a little bubble. So if you want to avoid a little blip, it's not the end of the world. Like, it's not terrible. From far away, you can't even see it. But if you want to avoid that, just make sure that you don't have any bubbles, okay? Now I can use a Q-tip with a little bit of water on it. I have a little bit of residual paste here that I don't want. So I can just use a Q-tip and scrub that off. Now my tool set, I got a box on Saturday and I haven't opened yet. I was gonna do an opening with you guys in the VIP customer lounge because I got some new stuff. Maybe my new tool is in there. So we have a new tool that does just this, where if you have a little blip that you want to get off, it has a spongy end on it. It looks like a paintbrush, but it has a spongy end on it, and it's reusable, just like this is. So you can wash it, clean it out, rinse it out, let it dry, and then it's ready to go for the next time. Here, I'm not even sure that I should dare to try to get this off because this Q-tip isn't much of a precision. There we go. I got it. Clean that up a little. It's as easy as that, you guys, because it's erasable. If you really have a big flub up, there's no worries. Just you can erase the whole stinking thing and start over again. That doesn't generally happen. Generally, you might have just like a little blip, like it had that bubble right there. And we can see where I have a little blip in the paste right there. Good morning, Miss Andrea. Yes, better late than never is right. Good morning, Judy. Okay, so we're going to set this aside and let it dry, or you can set it aside and let it dry, or you can just take a hair dryer or the heat tool, or the drying tool, from Chocator to dry it. You can use a heat tool if you have one. However, I will say you do not want to use the high temperatures on. I think your board could handle it, but you definitely do not want to use the high temperatures on your transfers because it's an adhesive plastic, right? So you don't want to melt this. And those other heating tools, they can melt because they're super strong. Chocator now has a drying tool that will dry it without burning it, like without melting it. You guys, mine fell on the floor. You cannot see me, but I'm literally like on the floor, just knocked everything over. Okay, crash, boom, bang. That happens often here at the Comfy Nest. Face cam fell. I did not fall. The face cam fell. So I have a mess. My stinking tool fell on the floor and I wanted to go get it. Okay, this, you guys, go ahead and laugh. I know. I'm constantly, one day the fire alarms went off when I was live. One day, like the stuff behind me fell off the wall when I went live. So I've reconfigured that so that won't happen again. It happens all the time here at the Comfy Nest. So whether you're on the Chocator page or you're on the Comfy Nest page, you can just expect, I almost feel like I need a t-shirt that says crash, boom, bang, because it's like an insider's joke here at the Comfy Nest. Technically, I have all kinds of trouble. All right, now that we're back online, this is the little tool. It's little. You see how the difference in size? It's little, so it's handy. It's easy to travel with. Mine fell on the floor, so I had to go get it. It has the little Chocator logo. It matches, like everything's matching. So if you like things to be coordinated and matchy, this is fabulous to have. And it is a drying tool. It is not a heating tool. So you cannot like do things like emboss with this. You're not gonna be able to melt your hot glue off of the back. It's a drying tool. It has two settings. See that? A low and a high. And it works great. It does really work great without a ton of heat. It feels more like a hair dryer. If you have an old hair dryer, you can use that too. If you want to be matchy, these are back in stock and you can grab one. You guys, I don't see any laughy comments because I gotta grab my Facebook feed again because it went away on me. But I'm sure you guys are all laughing at me. And it's okay. You can all chuck it all up over the fact that I crashed and banged everything. There we go. Now I found you. All right, so we're going to let this dry. It has to dry completely because this design has lots of paste. It's not really a skinny lettering design or something. It has lots of paste. That's a lot of paste. You want to make sure it's dry. So before you even touch it, I usually put my finger on it just to see if it's dry. You really need to either give it time or hit it with air to get it to dry. Hey, Fiona. Hello in Ireland. Fiona, were you here for the crash? Did you just witness that crash where my whole camera set fell down? I was literally on the floor trying to find my little tool because it had fallen on the ground earlier and I forgot to pick it up. And listen, what you get here is totally real life. And I get that comment a lot. Hey, Grace, I love watching you because you're totally real. Yeah, totally real here at the Comfy Nest with Grace. All right. If you dare to test, give it a little time. Fiona, you witnessed the whole thing. I hope I didn't blow anyone's ears out with the big bang, the loud bang. Okay, I'm going to test. I'm going to go on a smaller part. I'm going to try over here on the welcome. And what I do, clean finger, I'm not going to smudge. I'm just going to press down on it with my finger in a couple of spots. Yeah, it's dry. It's dry. It's dry. So what we need to do is we need to assemble all the other parts of this so that we can put it together. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our little grapevine wreath. This grapevine wreath, here I'm going to use, this is the Chocator cutting board. And each one of these little squares, mine is really worn, you guys, but each square is an inch. So it's an easy way to quickly measure. So this is a 2-inch. So you can see the little squares. It's a 2-inch grapevine wreath. Okay. If you bought the kit from me, the discounted kit from inside the VIP customer lounge, I sent you one of these. I sent you all these little embellishments. I sent you some greenery. Now the greenery, you probably have one big length of it. I had 2 little scraps, but you're going to apply it the same way. You're going to attach it the same way. And what I do is I don't even use any glue. I use all these little nooks and crannies, all these crevices of your grapevine wreath. Like here, you see that crossover band. I will stick, this is greenery that is on a wire. So you can bend it and move it any way you want. So I'm going to take the wire that's at the center of my greenery and I'm going to stick it under. See, I'm going to stick it under that little crossover band so it stays in place. And then I'm going to wrap it around my wreath and I'm going to stick the other end, which is a wire. It's a little wire. I'm going to stick that in this little band. Okay. And so that gives me that half of my wreath. Same thing with this. And I do usually cross over a little bit. So where I started this one, I'm also going to start this one. So I stick that wire underneath that little crossover band, wrap it around snugly. And then same thing, this little wire is going to go under that same, like meeting up with that other crossover. And then you can fluff it up how you want. So I sent you this. Now, if you want to, you can reinforce yours with, see, it came undone because I'm pulling on it. You can reinforce yours with glue, but I don't because I figure if I ever want to take it apart and do something else with it, it's just easier to do when it's not glued. So there, it's all together. This is going to end up hanging right here. Okay. Now, if you got this kit and you decide you don't want that hanging there, then don't use it. I'm not offended if, you know, when I demonstrate things to you guys or show you how I create it and what I do, that doesn't mean you have to follow exactly what I do. You can change it out. If you don't like the ribbon that I sent, or you just don't want to use that wreath after all, you do you. I would say you do you. I'm cleaning up because I got a little residual paste here. You do you, and I'm never offended by that. But I would love to see your projects when you guys are done with them. If you would share them in the VIP customer lounge, we would love to see how they turned out and what you chose to do with yours. And if you guys have questions as I'm going, please let me know, because if you're new to Chakator, I try to go through the basics most of the times, assuming that there may be someone out there who has never seen it. So if I skip something, don't be afraid to shut out and say, what was that you did? Or how did you do that? Or why does the product do that? You can just feel free to ask. Okay. All right. So we have our board, but we're trying to get our little embellishments together. So what I did next is, and if you bought the kit from me, you got your jute rope. I'm going to take a length of the jute rope and I'm simply going to tie it. And if you want to figure out what you want to be the top and what you want to be the bottom, you sure can. But I'm going to tie a little knot here very lightly because I don't want to squash all my greenery. So what you can do is grab your little tool. If you don't have this, just grab anything that is going to give you like a little pointer. It can be a pencil, it can be a pen, it can be your X-Acto knife. Don't cut yourself. But if you want to, once you get this on, you can pull out your greenery, like the leaves, so that it's not, all matted down right there. You want them to still be fluffy and maybe go over that rope. So I just use something sharp like that to pull on it. I forgot to do my second tie, so let's do that quick. I only did one, and then I was so excited to fluff that I was fluffing. But you want to create a little knot. It can be a loose knot, but you want to create a little knot there. Then you can go in and use your little tool. This is one of the tools. It has the smallest little squeegee that Chakator offers right now. And on the other hand, it has this point that helps you if your transfer is stuck inside your board really tightly, and you're like me, you don't have nails. It helps you get in there, kind of like the Cricut weeding tools, to get in there and get your transfer up off your board. But it can be used for all sorts of things, like fluffing up your greenery. So we want to just get that all out from underneath. Let's see if we can get this one out. There we go. And that's going to help obscure that a little bit. Okay, so there's a little tip for you. Next up, what we wanted to do is embellish even more. So this is going to hang, but what I did do is I added some beads to it, and I want to tell you a tip for adding beads. If you're struggling with the beads, because stringing up with jute especially can be difficult because the jute will fray. So what I do is I take you can use any kind of glue, really. You can Elmer's glue, you can use Mod Podge and dip your fingers into the Mod Podge. You can take a glue stick and I put it on the end of my jute rope, and then I kind of roll it to make it really pointy, and so that it stays together. So it's not going to budge and move on you. It stays together. It makes it like a little needle. If I get any little fluff on the end from that, I'll just take my scissors and cut that off, because we want to make a little point for ourselves. You see how it's nice and stiff now? See that? Gives you a stiff little point, and I just beaded a couple of little beads on here. And I sent you beads. If you bought the kit from me, you got the beads. I had painted one of my beads this light green like a long time ago. So in my bag of beads, I had a couple of light green beads. So I grabbed one of the painted ones. So if you want, you can go ahead and paint your beads, or you can just put them on there naturally, whatever you want. Maybe you have other beads that you want to use. Maybe you want to skip the beads completely, totally up to you. But I just strung 3 little beads after gluing down the end of my jute rope with a glue stick. You can, like I said, you can use Elmer's glue, you can use Mod Podge, whatever you have on hand. Okay, so that part is done. Now I did add a bow here, a little bow. So I sent you a length of ribbon, and again, you can change out your ribbon. You don't have to use the same color ribbon that I did, but I put a tiny little bow here, and then we're going to tie that same ribbon and jute around the base of the board so that it's totally coordinating. I'm going to check comments quick. Lorraine says, I love that transfer. Isn't it cute? It's so sweet. I love this. And you know, we do have a couple of tiles, farmhouse tiles that are really big. So if you like this design a lot and you want to use it on other projects, we do have a couple that are in the D size, which is 18 inches by 18 inches. So that's big. So you could use that on furniture. You could use it on a mirror in your house. Say you have a mirror like in the dining room. It's not meant to be a mirror for you putting on your makeup or anything. It's just a decorative mirror. You could put one of the farmhouse tiles or one of the designs using that 18 by 18 and repeat the pattern on a mirror. I think that would be beautiful, you guys. In fact, maybe I have a mirror in my office. I don't really use it to look at myself. I use it. It's just in there because it's got a really pretty decorative frame around it. That would be a good, good thing to do there. Okay, we want to create a little bow. So I'm going to pull my 3 beads up just a little so I have some room to create this little bow. And I'm going to take, what I did was I took some of these ribbons and I cut it down into smaller bits so that I could create like a little messy bow. Like, you know, you can crisscross them and then tie them together. Or the other option you have is to just take a length of your ribbon. I mean, I would do this before you cut it. That way you're not wasting any ribbon. But if you just create, and I do the bunny ears, you guys, that's how I learned to make bows when I was in first grade. And I never, like when I tie my shoes, I still use the bunny ears, the 2 little bunny ears. That's how my older brother taught me when I was like 6 or 7. And I don't know how to do it any other way. I've tried the other way and I feel like I'm fumbling. So I just keep with it. So what I do is you can create the bow with a length and then pull on the tails or pull on the loops to make it smaller or bigger, whatever you want. So you can play with the size of it. So here's this. If I want it, so I feel like that's a little bit big. So I'm going to pull on these tails to make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to twist the bows up top to get them to face forward. Sweetness, right? That is adorable. Now I can cut these down, so there's no worry about that. Those can get cut down. So I want to attach this on here. And what I did was I took a couple of extra little pieces of ribbon and got them behind there as well. You can fashion it however you want. But what you can do is, you know, we have the jute and I usually pick 2. So I've got the jute and I've got this ribbon. Sometimes it's 2 separate ribbons, a thin one and a chunky one. But you can take these little lengths of ribbon that you have, and we can take a piece of jute rope and tie them all together so it looks more fluffy. Sometimes what I'll do is 2 of these bows and just layer them on top of each other. But what we can do is we can tie all of these together with your jute rope, or you could glue them together. It's totally up to you. I do things almost a little bit differently every time I do it, just based on a whim of what I'm feeling like today. So I've layered those pieces, and then I'm going to come from the front to the back. And what you can do is tie these together, just like you do with a messy bow, except you're including this pretty tied bow that you just created. So I come to the back and I'm going to tie the jute rope around it. So I'm going to show you this as an example of what you can do. There's another option. I know you've probably seen these messy bows being made before. Oh, I lost one little chunk. That's okay. You've probably seen these messy bows get created before. I like using the same 2 materials over and over again so that everything is coordinated and it matches. So see how I tied that all together? And what it does is it's giving me more tails, more fluff to play with and to showcase here. And now, remember, you can trim it down. I always say, like, give it a little haircut. You can trim these all down to make them smaller. If this is just too wild for you, like, okay, that's just too much. Some people like the bows really big and bold. Some people want them really sweet and demure, right? So if you're going for sweet and demure, we can just glue this right on there. So I'm going to cut the tails. And then, let's see, I went that way. I want to go this way. And then I can use just a bit of glue to get that on there. So let me grab some glue. I'm going to grab some tacky glue. I'm going to turn on my your glue gun. If you have your glue gun ready, now's the time to get it turned on, because we're going to need your glue gun for the back of the board as well. But we're going to glue this down here while I'm waiting. Actually, I'm going to wait for the glue gun. It's just easier to get going. Let's add our ribbon to our board. So before you add the ribbon, make sure you know where the front of your pillar is, right? Because if you're going to glue it down, especially, you want to make sure that you know that this is the front of your pillar and where your board is going to go. So here, we're same thing. We're just going to start tying, and you can do it up high on one of these notches. You have several notches to work with. You can do it down low. It's totally up to you. I do it right in the middle. We're going to start tying ribbon, and we're going to start creating a bow and some ribbon down here as well. I'm going to go get some more of this. I'm going to tie a couple of these because I like all this extra frill coming out. I'm also going to grab more jute. I use this, you guys, for my jute dispenser. I created those a while ago, these little mason jar jute dispensers. I did that on a live just to show you how you can use your mason jars as a great little dispenser for your baker's twine and your jute. This one I'm going to tie twice because it won't stay as well on its own. So I call them tendrils, and I love having all of these hang out here. I'm going to grab some more of this black and white ribbon and make a bow, another bow for down below here. And this one, you could actually tie it directly onto your pillar. You don't have to glue it. You could just tie it directly on. Actually, this ribbon that I'm using here is a little smaller than the original one that I used, which I think is super cool to have both of them there. There's my little bunny ears. I love the messy. I love it like super frilly and with lots of tendrils and little bits of ribbon and rope coming out all over the place. And if you like it more tidy, I would say you do you. You do it tidy if you like it tidy. I want it super messy and just kind of unruly and bold. That's more my style. I'm trying to get it nice and tight, but get those loops the size that I want them. So I keep pulling on, just like I did it on the other one. You pull on the tails to make the loops smaller. You can just pull on the loops to make the loops bigger. And you just keep playing until you get them just where you want them. Now, these are extra long, and I don't want them quite that long. So I'm going to cut them a bit shorter. I'm actually going to cut those a bit. Actually, I'm going to cut those quite a bit shorter because I like that messy look. And that's what we did on the first one, the one that I showcased for you, but you can do it however you like, when you get yours. And you can add other colors. If red is the color in your home, use red ribbon. Whatever you think is best for your style, to match your style. Or if you're giving it as a gift to match her style, his or her that you're gifting it to. Okay, now we're going to glue this down onto our little wreath here. I think that my glue is warm enough. Actually, I'm going to add the glue directly to the bow, because I think it's easier for placement. I'm going to flip it around, and then I'm going to use my multi-tool to push that down into the greenery because I don't want to burn my fingers. I'm going to remove any excess glue that kind of comes out from there. And this silicone tool is great for that. So there's the excess glue. We're going to pull that off while it's still warm. All right, there we go. Now, if you'd like to, and I did, on the first one I also added extra bits of both jute and ribbon. And what I did was I just tied it in the place on your jute hanger. I tied a little bit more jute underneath the beads. So I just did one tie because then it'll slide up and down on there for you. Then you can take some more ribbon or jute. If you like the look, if you like this messy look, it's going to kind of match the bottom. I'm going to add a little bit more here. This is not necessary, but this is what I did on the first one. You guys, I can't get this tied. I cut my finger yesterday, and so I have like a little boo-boo there, and it's sensitive. So I'm trying to be sensitive or gentle with it. Okay, now I'm going to push the beads down, and you can do as much or as little of that as you want, but it gives you all this extra like bow and ribbon hanging out here, those little tendrils. This one's a little long, so I'm going to cut it down. This one too. I love that. I think it's so cute. This is going to end up hanging right here. How darling. Okay. So now we have to decide if you want it to hang this low, then we're going to want, so I'm using my thumb to hold this down because that's the position I wanted, even if it looks messed up, right? Doesn't matter. Just hold that position down really well. You could even take, if it helps you, like if you're butterfingers and you have trouble with that, take a little piece of painter's tape and tape that down because you know that's the position you want. We're going to come around to the opposite side, and you can see I've done this before. The back of mine's all marked up because I've done this before. You can reuse these boards. So what I want to do here is I want to glue this to the back of my board. So all I do, I've already done it once. Like I said earlier, I heated it up with my heat tool and pulled off that glue. I'm going to add a big bead of glue on the back here. It's just hot glue, regular hot glue. Then I'm going to take my rope and I'm going to lay it down in there. I take my squeegee, my multi-tool, and I'm just going to, I want to make sure that it's in the middle. And you can use this little circle there to make sure you're in the middle. And I just make sure that that rope is completely covered with glue so that it doesn't budge. You can even come in and add a little more on top once you have it spread out. Once it cools, it's not going to move at all on you. So we're just going to spread that out, make sure it stays. Got a line of glue here. That glue comes right off of your squeegee so fast. That bead of glue will come right off of there and you can just throw it in the garbage. That, once it's cool, it's just going to hold it in place for you. It will not budge until you're ready to take it off. Then you can use your heat tool if you have one of these heat guns, or use your hair dryer on really hot setting and you put it close to that. It took 3 seconds with this bad boy and I was able to pull that right off. The glue just comes right off as though it's warm again. It's crazy how that works. Okay, so now that's in place. Now that it's in place, we can take this tape off and it's just going to hang perfectly in place on our board. So let's get this in. Now mine is tight enough that I don't need, it does, like I said, it comes with a little screw. I need it to move over a little bit. But mine is, I have like one of the original ones that they manufactured. I've had it for years and it just fits in so tight, like it does not budge. Like you can see it will not move, and neither does your wreath. Once you got it glued down, you can see it just swung around. Okay, here we go. Here she is. Now, once you have her plate in place on your mantelpiece, on your buffet, on your kitchen counter, like wherever you want her, you can fluff up and prim and like center everything the way you want it, and it's ready to go. I always have a ribbon tied around the base of mine because I just think it's so pretty. I think it adds like a little feminine flair, makes it more, and as far as I'm concerned, it makes it more decorative. But you don't have to. If that's too frilly for you, if you don't love that look, then don't do that look. I always say, like, you do you. But I gave you the Quick Cart link so that you could get the board, a small squeegee. You could get this specific transfer, and paste and the fuzzing cloth. Those things are in the Quick Cart link that I put in the description of this video. So you just click on it and your cart is completely filled for you and you can check out within seconds. Now, if you already have the fuzzing cloth or you already have the white paste, you can remove them from your cart and check out within seconds because the bulk of what you need has already been created in that Quick Cart link. I love that feature, you guys. I love to be able to offer that to you. So go ahead and use that if you want to pick up any of the supplies that I used today, the basics. And if there's something here like the board eraser or like the tool that I knocked everything over to find on the floor, the heating tool, the drying tool, or the mat that you want, you can just go ahead and keep shopping and add more things to your cart. But still, the bulk of the work is already done for you and you can check out pretty quick if you want to. For any color scheme, the black and white, it's perfect. It matches everywhere, right? Whether you like the farmhouse look or not, like, because you can pick up a different transfer that has something else on it. The black and white goes with everything. You're totally right about that. Just the sweetest kit ever, Debbie says. Oh, I'm so glad you love it. Okay, you guys, sorry for the crash, boom, bang. So I do feel bad because if like it startled you or your pets are in the background barking, I do understand that that could startle. So I do apologize. But at the same time, I have to laugh because it's very typical for me. My name is Grace, and but I'm not the most graceful person in the world. I really am not. And I'm okay if you giggle at me. So go ahead, chuck it up, laugh in the comments. We just got to have some fun with this stuff. I'm totally real. You get real life here. There's nothing. It's totally unfiltered. Let's just say that. Totally unfiltered. Thanks for joining me, you guys. I hope you have a beautiful, blessed day. Kisses, goodbye, and we'll catch up next time. If you need anything, of course, you can private message me.